Hi. Today I want to talk about gauge swatches. And before I took the Master Knitter class, I was not a gauge swatch maker. I am really glad I took the class because it has shown me the error of my ways. I'm done with all of my swatches, and I will show you that in another video, but one of the projects we had to make was a glove. And it's really kind of cool the way the patterning goes. Very easy, actually. It looks hard, but it's very easy. But we were told to check our gauge as we go through the glove, and I didn't. And I get to the end, and I'm thinking, man, that's not quite the gauge that I thought it would be. So I went back and checked my gauge, and I'm off. It fits. Now, it's meant for a small child, but I am not a small child, and as you can see, it fits me. I am going to go ahead and make the other one with the same needles to give to my mother for Christmas. Don't tell. But I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about gauge swatches. Before you start a project, I always buy extra yarn, because even though it says it's only going to take 4 skeins, the way I knit sometimes it takes 4.5, and I'm playing yarn chicken, which means I'm running out of yarn before I'm finished with my project, and I'm quite frustrated. So I always buy at least 1, sometimes 2, depending on what I'm making. But what I've learned with the gauge swatch is it doesn't take long. It takes me an evening, and I can watch TV and knit at the same time with my husband. So while we're watching TV, I knit a gauge swatch, and I'm going to tell you what I did with this swatch. This is actually 3 different needles so that I can kind of see the tightness and how big things are, and what I can do. So let me get my calculator up on this also, because we're going to do some calculations. And I think, there's my calculator. Okay, so what you do is you cast on 25 stitches. And the 25 stitches go from selvage to selvage. But once you get done knitting, we go ahead and put these little colored yarns in so that we can know exactly where we're knitting. And I will explain that later. Then you knit 25 or 2.5 inches deep, and then you make a purl row on this side so that you have a bump so that you know where you've changed needles. You change needles. Now, I started with a size 6 needle, changed and went to a 7 for 2.5 inches, changed and went to an 8 for 2.5 inches, and you can kind of see they get bigger as they go along, a little bit, not a whole lot. Some of my gauges are very, very, very close. So let me show you how we go ahead and do this. When you are putting the stitches are the ones that go across. You already know that when we're working with knit stitches and looking at it on, the V is what makes the knit stitch. There's also an upside down V, that's the between stitch. So when you are marking for a gauge, you want to make sure that you are marking in the upside down V, which is really not a stitch, it's just what's between 2 stitches. So that when you go to count, you're going to have the V stitches that you count. I don't know, can you see that very well? Let me see if I can get that just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. V stitches are actually the stitch. So I don't put this in the selvage edge, which is a V stitch, but I put it in the next in between stitch. And so when I count across that, you can just count the V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I have 23 stitches between my 2 pieces of dark yarn. So you want to remember that. You can either write it down, or if you're really good with remembering, you could just remember. So I'm going to write down I have 23 stitches. I don't have a piece of paper. There we go. that won't work either. It's got writing on the back. Yeah, just real prepared. So I have 23 stitches. Now, this is my 6 needle, my US 6. So what you do is, I like to use these Omni grids. They're see-through and they're clear. And so you'll put the very end right where your thread goes through, and you'll take it across to where your other thread is, and you'll get as close to the 1/8 inch as you can. So this is going to be 4 1/8 inches, 4 1/8 inches. Now, you want to turn that into a decimal. So the easiest way to turn that into a decimal is you take the 1 and divide it by 8, which comes out to 0.125. And you can do this on the computer if you want to. You can do it on Google Transfer. But then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 23 stitches and you're going to divide it by the 4.125, because we said this is 4 inches and 1/8, which is 4.125. So when I do that on my calculator, I do 23 divided by 4.125, and I get a huge number, 5.57575757. Now you don't round that down. You leave that in your calculator. Since we want to find out how many stitches are in 4 inches, we are going to multiply by 4. We're going to take the number that's on our calculator, the 5.575757, and we're going to do a multiply by 4, and that's going to give us 22.3030 and fit in it. Now, once you get to this point, you can round, and since 3 is less than 5, we round down to 22. So 6-inch needles, and this is Cascade 220 worsted weight yarn. This yarn with a 6-inch needle will give me 22 stitches per inch. Okay, now that's the 6 needle. And we do that with the other needles also. We're going to do it with the 7. I'm going to go ahead, and I already know that I have 23 stitches between all of these. So this is going to be 4 1/4. So I'm going to take, with the 7-inch needle, I'm going to take my 23 stitches divided by 4 1/4, which is 4.25. And then I'm going to multiply that by 4, and that's going to give me how many stitches I have per 4 inch. So I'm going to do 23 divided by 4.25 multiplied by 4, because we're doing 4 inches, and we come up with 21.647. Now, when you round up, that goes up to 22. So each of these, not only the size 6 American, but the size 7 will both give me 22 stitches per my 4 inches. Okay, let's go ahead and do the size 8. And you're kind of seeing the 7 is just a little bit bigger than the 6. When you look at this, my 6 was 22.3030. My 7 was 21.647. So we rounded this one down, the 6 down, but we rounded the 7 up. Let's go ahead and do the 8. I'm going to start over here at this side, and I'm going to measure, and what do I have? I have, again, 4 1/4. So the size 8 needle is actually going to give me close to the 7. Now, when I did this after I had actually just swatched it, I got 21 stitches for the size 8. So I don't know, this may have shrunk a little bit, which is okay. Now, we pretty much do the same thing when we're trying to find row gauge, although row gauge, it is important, but when you're making something like a mitten, a lot of times you just try it on and you can say, oh my goodness, I need to stop here so that I can start taking down. But row gauge in a sweater, especially if you have a design, you will want to know your row gauge. So we do the exact same thing. We measure between our yarn, and I have 2 3/4. Let's put that down. 2 3/4 inch, which is 0.75 inch. And then we count our rows. You do not count the row that has the yarn in, so I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 18 stitches. So my 18 is going to be divided. Let's go ahead and do that math. We're going to do 18 stitches divided by the 4.75, sorry, 2.75. 18 stitches divided by 2.75, yeah. And that gives me, where am I? That gives me 6.54545454. Now we're going to multiply that by 4 because we generally do in 4-inch increments. And we come up with 26.18. So we have 26 rows. And I came up with 21 stitches. So we have 21 stitches in 4 inches and 26 rows with the size 8. Now I hope this helps you. It really doesn't take a long time to do one of your row swatches. So if you have a pattern that tells you you're working on 6-inch needles and you should have 22 stitches and 32 rows, you'll just have to do the one section. You won't have to do all of this. I had to do this for my my Master Hand Knitter class. So, but you'll just have to do the one size. You'll look at your pattern and see what it says, what your gauge is supposed to be. You'll knit your swatch and then you'll do your measurements, just kind of like I did in here. Okay, I hope this has helped you with gauge swatching. I didn't like gauge swatching at first. I just thought, oh, it's a waste of time. But what I have found is it is very important, especially the way I knit. So I hope this helps you. I hope I see you back next time. We're going to I'm going to show you my booklet that I have to send. I have it almost done. I do have to redo my mitten so that it can go, and we will talk about, I may use this to show you how to do thumb gussets when I get to this. I know we are working on some gloves, some fingerless mitts, and some fade walker mitts, but if you'll be patient with me, I will show you what I learned about making the thumb gusset and then how to join the thumb so that you don't have big gaping holes. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping. Bye-bye.